President Donald Trump spent years blasting Obama's Iran nuclear deal. So why is he on the verge of making the exact same deal, but worse? We're going to get to the bottom of it here. So let's back up and talk about what was in the deal that President Barack Obama struck in 2015, what Trump said about it, and what he's apparently on the verge of doing now. And then you decide whether this is the most hypocritical case of delusional political rebranding you've ever heard of. Back in 2015, then President Barack Obama made an agreement called the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, JCPOA. The core bargain was that Iran would sharply restrict its nuclear program and allow it to be carefully monitored by the international community, and in exchange, it would get phased relief from economic sanctions. The deal had a few basic elements, and I'll let our friends at the Wall Street Journal explain, and note, I'm intentionally choosing anything but a left-wing source.
Number 1. The deal requires Iran to give up 97% of its enriched uranium, taking its stockpile from 10,000 kilograms down to just 300 kilograms. Number 2. Iran can still produce a modest amount of uranium enriched at low levels, just 3.67%. Enrichment is limited in this way for 15 years. Number 3. Reduction of centrifuges. Centrifuges are the machines used to enrich uranium. Iran has to give up 2/3 of its centrifuges. There will be, number 4, inspection. UN inspectors will be allowed to monitor nuclear and other sites. So what does Iran get for accepting all of this? Number 5, sanctions relief.
To be fair, this was anything but a perfect deal. There were definitely criticisms one could make, including that the deal did not totally end Iran's nuclear ambitions. But here's the key point.
If Iran abides by the deal for the next decade, it will take Iran at least 12 months to produce enough fuel for a nuclear weapon.
That's the upshot. There was broad consensus that Obama's deal put Iran at least a year away from getting a nuclear bomb. That gets us to point number 2. What did Trump say about this deal? Over the years, Trump has done his usual hyperbolic name-calling performance, saying it's the worst deal in history, incredibly stupid, and when he addressed the nation on his war with Iran several weeks ago, he said,
"A disaster."
But amidst all of that, it seems like he had 3 basic criticisms. First, that it would have led to Iran having lots of nuclear weapons.
His Iran deal would have led to a colossal arsenal of massive nuclear weapons for Iran.
Although it's a little unclear whether he means lots of them or that they're just really, really big. Second, that they could achieve nuclear capacity really fast.
They would have had a nuclear weapon within 2 weeks to 4 weeks.
Again, this is a little confusing since, like I just said, experts agreed that it was actually a year, and his own threat assessment from 2025 said the same thing. And finally, Trump was upset that part of Obama's deal involved sanctions relief, which included releasing funds that had been frozen. And he was so upset that he made sure you knew exactly where this money sits on the color wheel.
Obama gave them $1.7 billion in cash. Green cash.
Green cash? I mean, the thought of it. I didn't know we were talking about green cash. And that gets us to the third piece of this here. What is Trump planning to include in his version of the deal to end his current war with Iran? And this is where, again, I want to be clear that there is no final deal yet. In fact, one of the unintentionally hilarious parts of the last few weeks of this ceasefire, which is not really a ceasefire, is that Trump says that we're really close to a deal, and we're not, because as I summarized in the edition of That's Bullshit from 2 weeks ago, clearly Iran's list includes all kinds of things that the U.S. would never agree to and would represent an unconditional surrender by America. Iran would maintain control of the Strait of Hormuz, we'd lift all of our sanctions, we'd accept their nuclear program, and we'd pay them reparations. But multiple press reports from sources inside the administration, including from the Associated Press, Reuters, and the Washington Post, have confirmed that basically what Trump is looking to do is take each of the key elements of Obama's deal, hit copy and paste, put a red hat on them, and call them his deal. What they're looking to offer is limits on uranium enrichment, limits on how much uranium Iran can stockpile, an inspection and monitoring program, sanctions relief, including releasing some frozen Iranian assets, and a time limit on the whole deal. In fact, the only real difference here is that Trump's deal is worse. He's talking about releasing up to $20 billion of Iranian assets. It's a lot more than Obama's $1.7 billion. And never forget, that Obama made his deal when Iran possessed essentially a zero stockpile of nuclear material. By 2025, that had risen to almost 1,000 pounds, enough for almost a dozen nuclear weapons, were it eventually enriched to weapons grade level. And the reason they had all that nuclear material? Because Trump tore up Obama's deal. The bottom line is, Trump wants to offer them the same deal with more money from a worse starting point because he petulantly canceled the earlier deal, which leads us at the end to where we started. Why? As best we can tell, Trump tore up the Obama deal just because it had Obama's name on it. The very fact that he's now seeking the exact same deal after fighting a war that he claims to have won shows that there was never any logic or substance or care for America's national security interest. There was just spite and retribution and a massive inferiority complex. Endangering our national security for your petty vendetta makes you a traitor. But here, just to be polite, let's call it bullshit.